Our man Tim Kelly joins us. What's up, Tim? Good morning, man. How you doing?
What conversation did I just walk in?
Yeah, he wants to. Tim, my partner wants to count 70-yard field goals from preseason.
Did you
NFL
see the
games.
70-yard field goal? That should go into the record books. I don't care that it's a preseason game. That one should stand.
I don't think it should go in the record books, but when we talk about great field goals, it should be referenced.
Okay, but that's different. Yeah, you can do that. You can, if we want to do that.
I'm putting it in the Salciunas record
look
books.
Look at
the Salciunas football record books. It goes in there.
You're like a coloring book.
Tim, so the Phillies had a nice series sweeping the Rangers, but obviously one of the big storylines we'll continue to follow is the status of Zack Wheeler. What did you make of his outing yesterday, and what do you believe the Phillies will do with Wheeler moving forward?
Yeah, I'm interested to see what they do moving forward because it wasn't a disaster yesterday. He didn't come out enough to leave the game early. He didn't give up 10 runs. He still struck out 7. Like, for most starters, yesterday would have been a great start. For him, though, I think it was 51 out of 83 pitches were strikes. Felt like he yanked a lot of pitches glove side still. It didn't seem like Zack Wheeler. Now, he said after the game that he felt healthy and he's just kind of going through one of those periods you go through during the season. That's not legally binding, though. If he wakes up today and doesn't feel good or whatever the case is, they could still put him on the IL. So I think it's a wait and see with him. Nothing that happened yesterday made me think it's worse than it was, but it also didn't alleviate the concern either.
The idea that they were showing on NBC Sports Philadelphia the velocity down 2 miles an hour on every pitch from his last start. That seems alarming. I don't know why you wouldn't take the next 2 weeks to just give him a couple starts off, considering you've given him time off in previous seasons, and it's proved successful.
Yeah, they gave him off in the second half of the 2022 season. He came back and was tremendous for the postseason. So I definitely think there's an argument for doing that. It's just, will they ultimately do that? And, I mean, I guess it's possible that they think there's nothing there that rest off is necessarily going to fix, but it's hard to make that case when the velocity's down.
Some guys returning eventually. What are you expecting the timeline to be? Aaron Nola, Alec Bohm, and who are you expecting to see when they make that return?
Yeah, it's interesting with Aaron Nola and Alec Bohm. I mean, Alec Bohm, I would assume, is back during this Red Series at some point, if I had to guess, but Aaron Nola, I believe, is going to make one more start at AAA, and if all goes well, will come back up. So, Alec Bohm, I think you're going to see what you're going to see. Like, he is still the best third base option the Phillies have. He is not a perfect player. He has flaws, but for a team that doesn't have enough right-handed hitters, they will welcome him back at third base. And then with Aaron Nola, that's really a great question because obviously, for as much as we've debated Aaron Nola, there's no question about the durability over the last 7 or 8 years. Can he get back into being that guy? Because that would be huge.
So we talked about roles earlier, and I was like literally going over work like yours and other print writers and stuff that's been said electronically on broadcasts about the fact that now all the guys in the bullpen are saying how comfortable they are with their roles now that everybody knows what their role is. I wondered aloud earlier, why had the manager not found roles for players earlier this season and let guys and had the patience to have guys find roles?
Well, I don't think they had a guy good enough to justify you're going to pitch every day in the ninth inning. Now they have that, and everything kind of falls underneath it. Like previously, I think it made sense to go matchup based in the ninth inning because you didn't really have a shutdown closer. Now you have that. And like you said, it helps everybody else out that they now kind of have a specific spot that they slot into. But to me, that's only possible if you have one guy at the back end that is a sure thing, and they finally have that for the first time in over a decade, probably.
Speaking of roles, let's talk about the position players. Obviously, there's the platoon going on at second base right now between Stott and Sosa, even though Stott did start yesterday. Are you expecting that to continue throughout October? And your feel on what the outfield will eventually look like?
Yeah, I would expect that to continue. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I know people don't like platoons necessarily, but Edmundo Sosa kills left-handed pitching, isn't very good against right-handed pitching. Bryson Stott has started to come around a little bit offensively, but has struggled at the plate for much of this season. So I think that makes sense at second base. The outfield's a little more interesting because we've always looked at it like, oh, it's center field and left field that are potentially up for grabs. But then on Saturday, Nick Castellanos was out of the lineup, and they can say the thing about the hard turf all they want. Something about that didn't necessarily check out with me. So, I mean, Nick Castellanos is not hitting well enough right now to be a lock to play against right-handed pitching, on top of the fact that he's graded out poorly defensively. So if that becomes a spot that's open, that's very interesting because I guess some of it would depend on whether Max Kepler gets going. If Max Kepler's not hitting, then you're not going to have him play over Nick Castellanos. But if he's hitting and you can have the outfield of Bader, Marsh, and Kepler, against righties, that might be your best outfield.
Gut instinct, when you look at this team and you've been, you follow them to the length that you do and you see them go about their business every day, do you feel like this is a team that's turned a corner? Or do you feel like, okay, you do. Speak more on that. Embellish on that a little bit for us.
Yeah, and I think for much of this season, I felt like this is a good team, but they don't have that World Series feel. And I'm not saying there's not going to be a slump the rest of this season or anything like that, but having Duran at the back of the bullpen has completely changed the complexion of this team. You've gone from having a terrible bullpen to now you start to see your way where if Robertson pitches well, you're going to get Alvarado back for the rest of the regular season. This could be a pretty good bullpen for the rest of the regular season and into the playoffs. Now, you're assuming Zack Wheeler's healthy, but you have a really good starting rotation, certainly your top two. If you have a bullpen that is just good, not even great, but good, all of a sudden, like in an NL where there's not an obvious team to emerge, the Phillies maybe become the favorites.
Wow. All right. Who are the odd men out when some of these guys do return? Alec Bohm, Aaron Nola. Could there be a surprise player sent down? Could there be a surprise DFA? What's your read on that?
Yeah, I think the one I'm really watching is when Alec Bohm comes back. To me, it comes down, unless there's an injury elsewhere, it comes down to Otto Kemp or Weston Wilson. And as well as Otto Kemp has played in his first MLB season, I would lean towards keeping Weston Wilson. He's starting to come around offensively. Otto Kemp has struggled playing third base defensively, so that reduces his value to a degree. And the version of Weston Wilson that mashed left-handed hitters in the second half of last season, if you can get him going down the stretch here, I think that's more valuable than Otto Kemp. So to me, that's really the one I'm watching out of all these in terms of what could be a surprise maybe to some people. I wouldn't be shocked if Kemp goes down.
All right, what's more likely? That on Labor Day, 3 weeks from today, the Phillies have stretched their lead and pretty much salted away the National League East, or the last week of the season, they will still be trying to hold off the Mets to win?
Well, the way the Mets have played recently, I think it's maybe that they've salted it away, maybe not clinched it, but put it to 8 or 9 games where it would take just an epic collapse for them not to finish it off. The Mets just have played so poorly over the last few weeks that the Phillies don't even necessarily have to play that great. If the Mets are going to continue to struggle like this, even to have a 5.5 game lead at this time of the year, like you're talking about, I haven't looked at the percentages, but I would think the Phillies are 70% to win the NL East right now. So even as is, they're in such a good spot. I would say it's more likely that they're on the cusp of clinching the division.
Tim, we appreciate the time. Thanks, as Tim. Always, man. Keep up the great work on Patterson. We love it. We'll be reading more, and we'll talk to you again down the road.
See you soon.
Hey, guys. Andrew Salciunas from Kincade and Salciunas. Thank you for checking out all of our stuff on YouTube. Make sure you click, like, subscribe on everything that you see. And, of course, you can see everything from our YouTube feed. Full shows, interviews, when John's being an idiot, which is like 15 times a day. So make sure you check out all of our stuff on YouTube. We appreciate it.